Hey everyone, Dacia here. Welcome to my Wednesday live streams of Corporate Caffeine, where it is my mission, my passion, my honor to try to bring you best practices to fire up, to energize your personal impact and your organizational impact in your work. Around here, I believe that your work should bless the world and that is how you find your potential for the biggest joy possible, the biggest impact possible, and to figure out why are you here? What does this all mean? And work is a critical component to unlocking that for each and every one of us. So welcome to Corporate Caffeine. Now, if you've never joined me before, sometimes I do solo casts, and we are on a 5-part series, and we are in week 4. You can catch the previous episodes in my feeds on, we now go live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook for right now. And so you can catch those there, but hopefully you will be able to just be fine plugging in today. So the series that we are in is called Paving Your Road to Revenue. Now, there is a guide that you can get on themarketingblender.com. So everything that I've said has a whole entire kit. It has worksheets, workbooks, how-tos, bullet points, tactic lists, all sorts of stuff if you are trying to DIY your growth strategy. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why we are putting this out there. We believe in prosperity for all. And I am a big believer that stewardship, meaning driving and stewarding resources appropriately and honorably, includes stewarding your knowledge. And so my team and I had a lot of fun building this last year, because this literally comes from the trenches in regards to how do you turn around a company in trouble, or how do you accelerate growth when there is a timeline or a deadline that you really need to hit, because it is about cutting waste from how you approach your business development system. That means marketing and sales. So this is all inclusive, because growth is growth and everything should be unified around that common vision. And so we want to cut waste, and we want to help you get super effective at making sure that you're making the right decisions and putting your attention and your resources where they will have maximum impact for the people that need your solutions and for your own company. So this week, we are talking about stopping by the ATM on your road to revenue. Now, I get it that this is a little hokey and a little bit campy, but believe it or not, sometimes these mnemonic devices are wildly helpful in making ideas sticky, marketing 101, right? And so I do love them, and I am definitely a little quirky and campy sometimes. So I think all of you know that by now. So I want to share this with you guys. Mark Fratto, amazing to see you. So we are going to dive in. Now, just to make sure that there is a continuum in regards to the content that I'm bringing with you. Last week, we were talking about the best possible way to set yourself up for tactical execution success, meaning you've figured out your strategy, you figured out what you should do. That was on episodes 1 and 2. And then on number 3, now it's time to go. It's time to get the word out there, because you've done the good strategic work, and you have to follow the ABCs of execution. And it is align with your market, build the things that will convert interest into inquiry, and then champion it from the mountaintops. ABC, align, build, and champion. And at the very end, I give you effective rules of advertising, your do's and don'ts of how to not waste money and not waste opportunities and have significant impact. And I left on the note that I wanted to talk to you about how to make sure that you get speed on this journey, like as you're in your ABCs of marketing. And so I'm going to walk you through. I wish I had a whiteboard. Oh, I do have a piece of paper, so maybe I'll do that. Normally I do this on a whiteboard, and I've never done that on a live stream before, so I do not know if I know how to do that digital portion. So I'll probably just share my screen, and if I have to draw, you can hang with me, and you can send me a direct message with questions about that. We've got other videos where I actually do have a whiteboard about this. So When I'm talking about an ATM, what am I talking about? Well, first of all, I'm talking about creating exchanges with your audience. Now, we all know that in a buyer's journey or in a sales process, the end goal is a decision, is hopefully a yes decision, because it means the customer or the future customer has decided to make progress on a problem or desire that they had, which is a total win for them. And of course, it is a win for the service or product provider because it was a successful sales engagement, a successful close, if you will. And so obviously the exchange that we are talking about is exchanging money for product or service as an exchange. Very simple, basic business principles. However, there are two additional exchanges prior to this, and skipping them or not naming them and navigating them effectively and respectfully can cause a lot of problems. Namely, it can really, really slow down that buying process, and it can actually open up dangerous gaps where you lose the opportunity and you create friction, or you waste a buyer's time and they go elsewhere, or they never make a decision to proceed in the first place, which is a total fail for everyone, not acceptable. So ATM, this is what the exchanges are. So M, of course, was money for product or service. So what are the first two? Well, the very first one that we're talking about is the exchange for attention, an attention exchange. Now, what do I mean when I say this? Well, we can simply go to our words, because our words actually tell on this. When I am asking for attention, what am I saying? What is the words that we use? We say, hey, pay attention. And sometimes it's implied, and sometimes if you're a mom of boys, it is explicit. Hey, pay attention. But the deal is there is an exchange. They have to give you their attention, and you are providing something in exchange. Now, when you're talking marketing or prospecting, so for instance, if you're social selling, you have to provide something that is actually worthy of their attention. And that is the key. Too many people just talk about their features and their benefits and me, and us as us. You know how much I hate that. Go back to video 1 and 2 if you do not, or pretty much every other marketing video I've ever done, but it is never, ever about you. So here's my little growth hack. Here is my attention exchange hack. Normally this can be unpacked in an hour or weeks if we're building it on purpose, but let me just go ahead and get straight to the punchline. The best way to create high value exchange for someone's attention is to talk to them about them. That's it. Do not talk about yourself. Do not talk about what you think. Do not talk about what you think you do, what your features or benefits are. No. You talk to them about them. We are all our favorite subjects. So if you want to get someone's attention, talk to them about them. And if you are worthy, then it will lead into the next exchange. Okay, so A, attention exchange, ATM. So the next one obviously is T. So the T stands for the time exchange. And again, we go back to our words. When I am asking for time, I'm saying, will you spend time with me? Spend. I mean, we even acknowledge that there is an exchange, that there is a two-way street in all these things, which I just love that. And so what are you doing and what are you giving that is so valuable, that it is worth someone giving you their time, which they can never, ever, ever get back? Never, ever. And that's horrible, right? Time is the one thing that we cannot go backwards on. We cannot circulate, right? It is non-renewable. And so the time exchange is incredibly important. Number one, it's important to understand that when a person is spending time, they are spending it on themselves in the quest for answers or knowledge or solutions or something to help them achieve what they actually want. So guess what you need to do? You need to give them that. If you are in a time exchange, how can you change your sales perspective, change your marketing perspective, your business development language and approach, so that you are literally, not conceptually, but literally helping these people that you serve in the market to be better at making this kind of decision. And let me be crystal clear, there is some integrity that is required here, because sometimes you're going to get a prospect where them making the best decision wasn't you. I know, but it's true. All of us have ideal customers, people and situations and problems that we are perfectly suited to serve. That is our highest and best. We are better than everyone else at this. But that means there are also scenarios where we are not the end all be all. And do you have the integrity to tell the truth in this situation? Because if you do, it will transform your growth, your brand, your reputation, your team's confidence, your values alignment, your ability to move your legacy and your mission forward. It is incredible, but it takes courage. Side note, you want to know what the opposite of fear is? It's not courage, it's confidence. It takes confidence to do that. Confidence that what you bring, the impact that you make before the invoice, let me repeat that, the impact that you make before the invoice is so on point with your values, your mission, and what the market needs that it will differentiate you all on its own. How you act as an organization, how you train your people to handle the time exchange, how you prepare for your marketing to bring maximum value to the market. Wow, that is incredible. And by the way, it feels amazing if you cannot tell. It is truly a transformation, and it can be an organizational transformation, not just as an accelerant in your growth, which it will be. However, an accelerant on everything in regards to culture and what you stand for. So first, there is the attention exchange. Next, there is the time exchange. And finally, there is the money exchange. And so that is your ATM. Okay, so that's the overarching part, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because if you read the post at the top, I promised that this ATM is a way to hack the creation of your marketing plan. Now, I do not want to say, oh, all of a sudden just document this and it's done. However, in a pretty short amount of time, like a single whiteboard session, you can lay 75, 80% of the foundation of your marketing plan in a visual manner with your team. And that is by sales mapping. And it's by applying and identifying your ATM inside of the buyer's journey and mapping it all out so that is choreographed or orchestrated in a way that seamlessly supports the buyer in their decision to find the best possible solution. So let me first show you like from a whiteboard perspective, what this would look like. And then I will show you the pretty version. So really what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to, excuse me, I had to find a blank piece of paper. What you're wanting to do is you're wanting to visualize the sales cycle. So let's pretend, just a simple circle, and we separate it into 3 different segments. And I'm going to put ATM in here. So we've got the 3 different segments. We've got the attention exchange, the time exchange, and the money exchange. Okay, so inside of these, let me break this down. Attention, how do they know your name? And how do they know what problem you solve or what goal you help them to achieve? Time, are you trustworthy? Are you who you say you are? Are you moving them from interest in solving their problem closer to actually solving their problem? And then, of course, the money. And this is actually mitigating fear because the money exchange represents significant potential risk for them, especially in the business to business world. They're parting with money and they might be putting their reputation on the line. They might be putting their team on the line. They might be putting significant financial risk on the line or goal attainment, whatever. But in each of these phases, the buyer is going through something very different. They need something extremely different. So what does this have to do with your marketing plan? Well, we're now thinking in a customer-centric point of view when it comes to actually organizing your tactics, organizing the messaging that you've done in your strategic work, and now organizing how you actually convert that interest into inquiry, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to map the things that help you in each of these areas and the messages that are appropriate in each of these areas. And so again, I'm going to show you the resource. It's got some examples in there in just a moment. But like as an example, in the attention exchange, how do people hear about you? They might hear about you at a trade show. They might hear about you because of organic content on Google. So we're mapping that out. You might get referrals. It might be sales prospecting, whatever. So you're mapping the different things that can happen when you're trying to create an attention exchange. And then on top of that, when you have identified your tactics, hello, marketing plan, then when you go into execution, you already know what to say. You're talking to them about them because it's an attention exchange. You are not talking about your years in the industry. You are not talking about features and benefits. You're not talking about specifications or differentiations. You're talking to your customers or your prospective customers about them and their problems and how to better understand what they need to do to move forward in their desired or stated goals. And then in trust, are you who you say you are? Okay. How do people figure out if they can trust you? They might look at your website. They are definitely going to talk to your sales team. So they better be well trained and you better have choreography in order to help them. There might be case studies. This might be videos. Side note, it's basically anything that they're spending time on in order to better understand you and in order to better understand their problems. So again, we're mapping these different things to the bottom. And again, you already know what to say here because it's a time exchange. So now you are taking your mastery and you're educating the market on how to move forward. And if you do it well, you are setting yourself up to be the one to beat, right? Because you are the one in a position that is already creating value for them. And that is absolutely critical. Also, when you pull the curtain back on your knowledge, wow, hello, trustworthy, right? I mean, you're immediately showing the kind of potential partner that you're going to be. Absolutely critical. And what this does is it calms down the fear and the risk for someone making a deal because you're showing them already how you operate, which is critical. And then in the money exchange, we do want to write down what does it take to do this. Most people just think, oh, and they just throw things at prospects in order to close the deal. Super inappropriate at the most fearful and intense portion of this for a buyer. So what are some of the things that we would map for your marketing plan in this situation? Well, we might list out the proposal. If you're in an environment where you have to do RFPs, then obviously your RFP information and the templates that you use. Maybe there are terms and conditions, T's and C's. Maybe there's legal review. Maybe there's technical review. Maybe there's buy-in or building consensus or a pitch or a board presentation or whatever. But there is always multiple things. Sometimes you need a PO. Other industries you do not. However, those need to be labeled because if you can calm down the friction, if you can prepare for them, and let them know what the process is, you are seamlessly helping them to move forward versus, hey, we forgot that legal is going to have to do a T&C review and that just delayed our decision by another 3 months, right? So making sure that you can do that and you can figure out an amazing process around that. And then of course, since it is the money exchange, speaking of messaging, coming back to messaging, what are you saying there? You're calming down their concerns. You're meeting them where they are. You're painting a vision of success, and you are practically and specifically and calmly creating white space around these concerns and paving those next steps absolutely seamlessly so that it doesn't create any anxiety or tension. So that's what we're going to, that's the thing. And David, it's so good to see you. And you're right. Notes. I always need more paper. If you guys have ever been on a call with me, I'm constantly taking notes. I even do it in person. It's crazy. So David, you had mentioned your thoughts on overperforming on the first project. I guess it's all about how you communicate. So I'm assuming, and please in the comments, tell me if I'm off on this, but I'm assuming, you've gone through the first project. Maybe it's a test project. So we're past an initial sales cycle and you've delivered. So if you're talking about how to keep a client and how to go deeper or wider with a client, so much of it is about, did you onboard and did you frame the customer experience appropriately? Just because you landed a customer does not mean that they are 100% in alignment with the value you think that you bring. Now, remember, value is always, 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 always defined by the customer. Even if you think they're crazy, it is always defined by the customer. So you need to be anticipating places where they might get frustrated and just tell them, like in an onboarding call. Make sure that you're setting up things where you're framing the narrative, where you're explaining the process, and where you stay committed to that frictionless experience. Okay, down payment prior to any work being done. Well, it's all about the value that you brought, because it is still an exchange. A down payment is proof that they believe that you are going to bring value, because if you did this well, you already did. So as an example, making sure that your sales process and the deliverables inside of your sales process are super, super helpful, and that they are crystal clear what the process is going to look like. Think addition of timelines, showing, this is one of my favorite things, showing them examples of what progress should look like, of what it looks like to check in, of how they're going to know that you are on point and that you're on progress and making the, making good on the promises that you communicated. Because if you've already built value inside of the sales cycle, that down payment is going to be really a non-issue. And I do know this from experience, because every single SOW that we have clients sign, they have to provide payment at the time of signature, or we do not start work. I mean, we're a service business. And so just from a financial stability standpoint and an ability to do great work for them, we have to be paid for that planning and strategy process. But what I can tell you is that their confidence in knowing what comes next, even if they don't have a tangible deliverable until, let's say, 4 weeks out or 8 weeks out, makes all the difference. And that friction has not been in my sales cycle in a number of years. And so just thinking very carefully from the customer's perspective, what do they care about and how can you help? And sometimes the best way to do that is literally ask them, what would you want to see? How can I help you understand that we're making progress? It might be something as simple as a weekly check-in or a dashboard or a Gantt chart, but it's absolutely amazing if you create visualizations or create deliverables, progress-oriented deliverables, that it can really calm things down. And now you are literally choreographing or crafting the customer experience. And that is a whole other level of values alignment and mission alignment, which is amazing. And it reduces customer churn, and it does help you go deeper and wider, because you're always staying inside of your mastery and also in servant leadership with your customers. So I hope that helps. I'm kind of around the board, and I did promise I would share what one of these, a pretty version of this exchange, this marketing plan hack looks like. And on top of that, in the guide, what you're going to see are some examples, not an exhaustive list, but some examples of tactics. So let's see, sharing screen. Let me pick the correct window here. Yes. Okay. So you should be on my screen, be able to see that we have got that sales cycle that I talked about, and you can see attention. So the emotion of talking to them about them, the time, so exchanging value for time, and then the money exchange, ATM. And then you take these tactics, again, just examples, non-exhaustive list, but examples. And these are examples of what might be mapped here. And so you want to be mapping the tools, the experience that they are having, and then also when you go into execution, mapping the appropriate message. Now, the final thing I want to bring up in regards to mapping the appropriate message is mapping the appropriate call to action. If you're in an attention exchange, you are not asking for an hour. You are not asking for a call. You are not asking them to do a demo unless you have a very aggressive, fast type of environment, which people just automatically invest time on their very first connection with you. Highly unlikely if you can't see the sarcasm on my face. So that's what you want to be thinking about. Your call to action needs to be, actionable, and it needs to be appropriate to the exchange. So attention is a couple of seconds. On Google, it's about 3 seconds. It's long enough for them to click and scan a headline. In other scenarios, it's being on a website and just making sure, okay, you are who you say you are. And the call to action is to get them to click further, deeper into your site. And so now they are moving into an attention exchange, pausing on your ad, clicking through to a landing page, small little things that then shift them into, or begin to shift them into a time exchange. So that's the thing. Now, when I talked about it being actionable, pay attention to your verbs in your marketing and in your sales follow-up. Salespeople talking to you, make sure when you send an email that you're crystal clear what you're asking for. But verbs, get, visit, follow, try, demo, assess, schedule. These are things that they can do, and everybody knows what that means. When you start getting down to learn, I start to get a little worried about this. I also get a little worried about subscribe, because if you're not communicating what value they're going to get from that, it might be a little too loosey-goosey. However, you get my point. Make sure that you're being crystal clear about what the next step is. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our corporate caffeine today. Thank you so much for joining me. David, thank you so much for your feedback and your amazing questions. I really appreciate it. And if there's anything I can do to help you, DM me. But you guys, marketing is simple. It's not easy, but it can be simple. But you don't get to just throw stuff up against the wall. Selling, business development, that is all under the marketing umbrella. So I just want to make sure that I'm always communicating, that I am being all encompassing around your communication on the value that you deliver in the broader world, right? And it's so incredibly impactful to do this with intention and integrity in heart. I know that I'm repeating myself, but it's because I just really want you to ask yourself, what if? What if that's true? What if harnessing the power of communication can be transformational from a financial perspective, from a goals attainment perspective, from a culture perspective, even from a delivery mode perspective? What if simply being human and owning the things that we all have, our words, our need to connect and communicate clearly, what if just that subtle twist is the game changer? What if? So I want to leave you with that. I also want to leave you with the fact that you have everything that you need to be able to do this. So dive in, get creative, get curious. And if you need support, I'm here. My team is here. Look at some of my previous LinkedIn Lives. There are some amazing peers that I have that have commented and shared resources. So reach out to them. Oh my gosh, I host tons of brilliant people on this. Reach out to them, because the one thing about amazing people, birds of a feather flock together. And I have been blessed to attract and to connect with and to learn from other servant leaders. And so I challenge you to take us up on it, where any of us can be of service to you. We all deserve a work world full of connection, prosperity, and meaning for everyone. So come along with me. Let's do that together. Onward and upward, my friends, and I will see you next week. Oh, and side note, we've got some bonus corporate caffeines coming. We've got one on Friday and Thursday of next week. And so you will see me a couple of times next week. So looking forward to it. And please let me hear from you. Are there specific sticky situations that I can tell stories, that I can share things, that I can give you tools, that I can give you cheesy acronyms on to help you get more effective and cut waste out of your business development? Let me know what would be good for you. All right, onward and upward for real this time. Bye.